What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review for Love Goals, Season 1, Episode 9. We are almost at the end. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. So, this episode, we start off by talking about generational, I don't know what she said, but basically like that generational negative statements, like things that can be that can hurt children from the point, like for example, stop crying before I give you something to cry about. And Coolio made a comment about every beating I got, I deserved it because I was bad. And Spirit was like, see, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, you deserve to be beat, you deserve to be physically harmed because you disobeyed. And one of them brought up a point of saying, yeah, obviously beatings don't work. I think it was actually Coolio that said, well, beatings don't work because it really didn't stop me from doing what I wanted to do. And our kids are out of control now, so that clearly doesn't work. And then they brought up well, you're the man of the house now. And I know that's something as an educator I deal with a lot, because you have kids who at home they're the adults. And so they come to school and it's hard for them to take on the role of a child, because all day, every day, they're being treated like the adult, except for the 8 hours that they're at school. And they were saying how, even if you come from a fatherless home, you really shouldn't put that on the boy, on the oldest son, because in their mind, oh, I have to take care of the house, I have to be the father, I have to do this. And that's not their job. That's not their role. Like, let them be a kid. The other thing they brought up was the snitches get stitches thing. And Teresa was saying how she's heard her 2-year-old saying it to the baby. And she said, that's like, we have to get out of that mentality. And Andre was like, yeah, but I'm the one that told him that. Like, that's the code of the hood. First of all, you're not raising your kids in the hood, so I'm going to need you to get out that mentality. But she was like, yeah, but the problem is they're kids. They don't get that. And so you're basically telling them that they shouldn't let us know when something is wrong. Oh, don't tell. Snitches get stitches. And it goes back to Teresa being molested as a child, and that whole mindset of don't tell the adults, and so you don't want to put those things in your kid's head, even though we know where it comes from and we know the meaning or the context that you mean it in. It could be detrimental in another way. So then so Spirit sort of releases the group, and then she ends up meeting with what's his name? Tion, I think. Anyway, Sunday's boyfriend. And early on when they were talking about their family lineage, and he was saying how he didn't know his father, he had never met his father. And she said, well, listen, let me let you know, we found your father. And unfortunately, he's in jail, so we can't actually have you meet him. We can give you the information, but what we did find, though, was that you have 3 other brothers that you don't know about. And the question is, are you interested in meeting them? And he was like, wow. And again, I don't think it was ever a hesitation of, well, no, I ain't gonna say that. I think he did have a hesitation of meeting them, but I don't think it came from a place of, I don't want to meet them, those dudes, they not in my life. I think it just was a lot of the unknown. And so we saw him talking to Sunday, and Sunday was like, hey, whatever decision you make, I support, but I think you should do it. I think you should meet him. And then he even opened up and talked to the rest of the group, which I thought showed a lot of where they have come as a group together, that he would open up to them about something that really is very personal. And they sort of kind of said the same thing, like, listen, what you don't want to do is wait to a point where you don't have that option anymore. Like, God forbid, life is short, something could happen, and then the option is taken away from you. So rather you meet them, and maybe even if the friendship, relationship, whatever doesn't work out, at least you know who they are. I mean, if nothing else, just medical issues, like, what I mean, like, who these people are, and you're able to build on that. And so he says to Sunday, well, listen, if I do this, I want you by my side. And he was like, of course, like, I got you, of course. So while he decides whether he wants to meet his brothers or not, they have another group session, and I feel like maybe this is how they were able to find his family, is because they did DNA swabs when they first got there. But the purpose of that was to see their relationship DNA, so to speak, their love language DNA, I guess, and to see how compatible they were as a couple, the people they were there with as a couple. So they started with Althea and with Benzino. Now, I am not getting ready to sit here and go through every person's makeup. But what they were able to find out, though, is that Benzino is more of a carefree spirit. Althea is more of a practical, person. Benzino's I think it was a protector or something. And when they went through their whole chart, what they found out was that they were like a 84% compatibility match, which was interesting. And Benzino brought up a good point. He said it makes sense that this is somebody that I'm very compatible with, because I can't see me fighting this hard for somebody that I shouldn't be with. Now, I still don't think y'all should be together, but that's me on the outside looking in. I don't know y'all situation. The other thing I thought was important that Spirit was saying was, this does not mean that, she said, anybody can be together. It has nothing to do with this. It's just about how hard you're going to have to work, how y'all personalities connect versus clash, and how much work you're going to have to put into making the relationship work if that's what y'all decide to do. And I thought that was an important statement to make, and an important distinction for them to make and for them to understand, because again, it's not about whether you can be with this person. I mean, you should be with this person or not. It's about how hard are you willing to work and how hard you want to be with this person. And I think that is a very important distinction. So, got this blue lipstick. I gotta get used to it. Anyway, it's more like a dark purple. Anyway, it's blue. So then they get to Sunday and they get to what's it? Is it Tyron, Taryn, TT, her boyfriend, and they go through their different ins and outs, and it comes to find out that they are, I think, 78% compatible, something like that. I wrote it down. And so they're very compatible as well. And but now when they got to Spin, okay, no, I was wrong. Sunday, they're 81%. So then when it got to Spin and Q, though, it was very interesting, because Spin and Q, what they found out was that she's a very compassionate, and she sort of needs compassion from others. He is not. He's not a very compassionate person. And they said, well, that makes sense. That's kind of in an area where they clash, is her sort of needing that comfort from him and not always getting the comfort that she feels like she needs from him. And so it made sense. And it made sense that that's sort of where they clashed. And their compatibility was at 74%. Now, they were the lowest couple as far as the compatibility was concerned, but again, what Spirit said was that doesn't mean that y'all shouldn't be together. And of course, Spin automatically took it to that level. Well, maybe we shouldn't be together anymore. I mean, are we wasting our time? Are we fooling ourselves? And I was like, Spin, girl, go on, sit down somewhere. Like, out of all of them couples, y'all need, again, I don't know what go on behind closed doors, but from what y'all done showed us, y'all the most compatible as far as the way y'all deal with each other and how y'all are there to support each other. And I feel like, again, I think she was putting way too much stock in it. And she became real obsessed with it. Like, even after they were done, and she was really dissecting everything and going through each line and really focusing in. Bo and Teresa, Andre and Teresa, theirs was 78%. And their big thing was that the test came back that Bo was a worrier. Like, he worried a lot about things. And Teresa was the warrior. And Bo really, really got upset by that. Like, he was really in his feelings, and he really didn't understand or could make the connection, trying to figure out, what does that mean? How could they say she's not no warrior? She's soft. And I think he really took it as a blow to his manhood, like that they weren't saying that he was this big tough warrior. And she was like, but no, you are a worrier, but it's in a good way, because you're always worrying about how to make sure we as a family are You want to make sure you're the man of the family, you're taking care of the household, making sure that I'm taken care of, the kids are taken care of. Like, it's not a bad thing. Stop looking at it like it's a bad thing, because it's not. Like, you're a great dad. And so she was, and it got to the point where he, like, at first I was like, okay, all right, whatever. But he really, truly got upset. Like, he was really, really in his feelings, really upset, really bothered by the whole situation. And I was just like, wow, like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, I was really like, he was really getting mad. Coolio and Mimi, theirs was at an 84%, which I found very interesting, because they were the highest. No, were they the highest, or was Althea and Benzino the highest? I think they were the highest. But I found it interesting that they were so high, because I'm thinking to myself, they probably don't even need to be together, in my mind, from what I see. From what Coolio was saying last week, I was like, well, maybe they don't even need to be together, because Coolio, his attitude really is on some, I mean, either you with me or you not type stuff, and if you can't get with what I'm doing, and you can't deal with what I'm dealing with, then oh well to you. And I was just like, dang. But their big conflict is that they're both very aggressive. And again, it makes sense, because that's why they're always kind of going at it. So I thought it was an interesting exercise. And again, the paperwork really broke down all the different traits and how it's compatible, and it's high on the scale and low on the scale. Like I said, it really got into all of that, which I'm not about to replay every single person's DNA return or whatever. Then TT, he decided that he did want to meet his brothers. And so we had this whole moment, which I thought was great, of him meeting up with his brothers. And there was some tense moments. Again, not tense because I think there was ever any anger really at the brother, but from the point of view of some of them had more access to the dad than others. And for him, he didn't even know his dad at all. So any access to the father was more than what he had. But then one brother said, but every time he called, he wanted something. So it was never he called just to see how I was doing, or he called to make sure I was okay, or he called to check on me. It was always, I always knew when he called me, he wanted something, or it was about what I could do for him. And so it's almost like which one would you rather have? Would you rather have the father who you feel like is never really there for you, or the father who you didn't know to be disappointed by? And then he went on to say, he was like, look, if he really wanted, he said, make me feel some kind of way, because he had contact with his other sons and he never reached out to me. And he was like, my grandmother didn't move. My grandmother lived in the same house for 60 years. If he really wanted to find me, he could find me. Like, he didn't have to go through no social media. He didn't have to go through I ain't go nowhere. Like, I was in the same place. And it was like, you went out of your way to you never wanted to find me. And there was another brother who said the same thing. He was like, yeah, same with me. Like, he never looked for me either. He never tried to find me either. And so, it was heartbreaking, but what was a positive thing that came out, and Sunday was there. And I also saw Andre there, and I thought that was interesting that Andre was there with them through this in the beginning part. Then they left, and the brothers sort of just had a moment that was private. But I thought that was interesting as well, because Andre has a very common history, and so I'm sure that he invited Andre to be a part of the conversation. But I thought, again, showing me that these couples have really bonded, and I'm sure some were closer than others, but they really did bond with each other. And one thing that I walked away from that feeling really positive about was that all of them were like, but we're going to break the curse. Like, we're going to break that. We are all a part of our kids' lives. We are all dads. Well, the ones who are fathers, we're part of our kids' lives. And they said, look, and we want to get to know you. We want to build our own relationship outside of him. And, so I was very encouraged by that they wanted to be in each other's lives. They wanted to be brothers to each other, and they knew it was going to take time. Like, they knew it wasn't going to be no automatic, like, tomorrow we best friends kind of thing. But the fact that they were even open to it, I thought was really was pretty awesome that they were open to it. And Spirit also told him, be open to hearing your father's story. You don't know his story. You know a version of his story. You know how his story affected you, but you don't know his story. And so she said, when you do talk to your dad, I want you to be open to hearing his story. Like, you can still feel the way you feel after you've heard the story, and then there may not be anything that he can say for you to change your mind, and that's fine. But hear him. And so I thought that was valid. And so that was pretty much the episode. Next week is the last episode, and it sounds like they have to do some sort of like moment of reckoning as far as are they going to move forward as a couple together or whatever. So that might be interesting, but we'll see what it is. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.